Hello, beautiful, and welcome to Madison Reed's Hair Color House Party. We are coming together tonight from we're live and we're here on Zoom Live, we're on Facebook Live, and we're coming to you from all over the US, from our kitchens, from our bathrooms, to color our hair together and walk you through it and make sure that you can absolutely do this yourself. So tonight we will have a roots and gloss hair coloring tutorial for you. And tonight, luckily, you are going to get double the fun because we have a special guest. We are partnering with She Knows, which is an inclusive community that supports women with the latest news, services, and inspirational stories to help them take the best possible care of themselves and their families. And tonight with us, we will have their deputy editor, Erika Janes, as a special guest. Hi, Erika.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
We're so thrilled to have you. The other special thing that we do during these hair color house party tutorials is that for every single person who is here in attendance tonight, we will donate $1 per attendee to Direct Relief, who do so much good in the world. We love working with them. They've been a great partner. So we have that sort of charitable aspect to the hair color house party as well. So I sure hope that you feel really good head to toe about being here with us tonight. We will also be doing a giveaway. So our beautiful model, Susan, is going to be coloring her hair for us.
Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to get rid of my grays.
Thank you for letting us into your bathroom and letting us into your gray coverage routine. We are going to show you how to do a root and gloss color, or what we call the perfect pair. And in order to celebrate that funness of just doing that all over beauty routine, we're going to pick someone to give away that exact product. So a full color kit and a gloss is going to go free to some lucky winner. We will announce who at the very end of the show. The only rule to join that contest, that giveaway, is it is a camera on contest. So anybody who is camera on is eligible to win that. Let me give you a little bit of housekeeping and fix my chair that I just shrank on. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to do our live demonstration of hair color, walk you through that, and then we're also going to answer live Q&A from our viewers. So any color questions that you have that are waiting, burning desires, questions that you want to ask, we're going to answer all of those for you tonight. If you want to ask a question and you are on the Zoom call, all you need to do is go to reactions on the bottom of the screen, and then you'll see a raise hand button. And that raise hand icon will put you in order from first asker down to last, and we'll make sure that we get to your questions as we go through the demo. If we do not get to your question tonight, have no fear. We'll make sure that you have a way to contact us. So at the very end of the hair color house party, you're going to see a card with an email address on it. Email me your questions. Those go directly to me, and I'll make sure that your hair color questions all get answered. Okay, so that is what we have as far as hand raising rules and protocol. Everyone is camera on for contest entering. Also, if you have a question, make sure you rename yourself, which you do by hitting the 3 little dots on your Zoom square. Otherwise, if it says iPad or iPhone, we just won't know who we're talking to or who we're calling on. So just make sure you do that. And Susan, what else? Am I forgetting any housekeeping? How to ask a question, how to get a hold of us after. What else do we need to know?
I think you've covered it, Siobhan. And what we love, everyone, is to hear your questions. But please, we want to try and get to everybody we can. So try and just confine it to the hairiest one that you have.
Yes, one question.
The most important one.
That's it. Perfect. And everyone will just stay muted until you have a question and we call on you, and then you'll be asked to unmute yourself. So you'll just have to hit yes, and then we'll get to your question. Okay, this is exciting. Susan, I'm going to hand it over to you to take over and color your beautiful hair.
Oh.
Anyone else coloring with us tonight? I'm just going to take a look out there at the audience and see if anyone is coloring live with us. Do we have any raised hands? Anybody got root color on yet? Okay, we will follow along. I think we actually do have a She Knows community member with us here who is definitely hair color curious. Teresa,
Hey.
are you? Hey, hi. Yay. So we will be giving you all the tips and tricks that you need if you want to take notes, if you're a tutorial person. I think that's all I have. Susan, are you ready to color your hair for
I'm
the
always
rest of the
ready.
world?
I'm always ready to color hair, Siobhan.
Let's do
I'm
it.
a colorist, so full disclosure, I've been doing this for a really long time. I'm going to show you first of all what my hair looks like. So it's pretty long. I'm combing it through. This is super important when you come to coloring. You can find all of these great accessories on the Madison Reed site. You comb it through because really and honestly, you want to get rid of the tangles. My hair is dark, naturally dark. I'm what we would call a level 5, which in hairdresser terms is a light brown, but everybody else thinks it's a dark brown. And then take a look at the roots that I have. This is probably about 6 weeks worth. Through here, I don't have a huge amount of grays, you can disagree. But then through here, I have a lot of grays. So this is my main bit that I'm really conscious of. And of course, what I try and do is cover those up as quickly as I can. So this is probably about 5 or 6 weeks since I did the last color. Obviously, I'm very focused on coloring the grays, but I've also got, and you can see here through the ends of my hair, I have some lighter pieces, and some of them are pretty light. So you can see next to my dark bits, those are fairly lightened. So what I've done there is, on a previous house party, I've actually done the Madison Reed Lightworks, which is a balayage type of highlighting. It's all very current. Everyone's talking about these because they don't come from the root, but they mostly focus through the mid-lengths and ends. Now, when I have this, I don't want to cover these up. I don't want to be as dark as I am here. And that's why I'm using the perfect pair, because what we need for here and these pesky grays is permanent color. If I put permanent color on here, I'm going to end up with something that looks very uniform. And with my amount of hair, that's not going to work. I like the highlights. It's summer coming. I want to keep those. So the perfect pair means that you can address this and you can address that at the same time, which is fabulously time saving.
And if you're joining us and you've always been a salon goer, and you know, we talk to so many women who have been salon goers forever, and they're like, I don't know what's going on back there. I just know that all my hair is wet. Like, I think my colorist put something all over because it's just a bunch of wet hair. 9 times out of 10, I promise you, if they're doing a full color, this is what's happening. Permanent color is being used at the root to address new growth or gray, and something semi-permanent or glossy is being used mid-lengths to end. So this is kind of a way to let all of our friends here in on a little bit of like industry insider, how to get the salon results at home. So you're not just pulling that color through all the time, yeah?
Totally. It almost works a little bit like lip gloss, because what you want is on these ends, you want some shine and you want a little bit of color. And then on the roots, you want a lot of color, trust me.
That's right.
So that's why we use 2 different products, because on the ends, it's already colored. I don't want to make it too dark. On the roots, it's natural. And I want to make sure that I am covering those grays. So first of all, sectioning. Take your comb, put it into 4 manageable sections. These clips are amazing. And I'm going to be doing a little bit of speed coloring tonight. So what that means is that you have to kind of get prepared. I've got my box, which I've totally unpacked. Here's my goodies from Madison Reed. Everything you need is in here, and so much stuff. So first of all, barrier cream. I'm going to be taking that off. I'm also going to be taking off my cleansing wipe. More about that later. And I'm doing this because I don't want to do it when I've got gloves on. I also have my shampoo and conditioner. Take this off too and stand it up. So
and another couple things that we love to do is prep work, like even to help yourself with the coloring process before you're even coloring, is I love what Susan's doing, which is ripping all your little packets before you have glovey, mushy fingers. So do that with dry hands. That's going to help your frustration level later. And then if you are following the PDF instructions in the box, you can tape those up on your mirror so that you're not continually grabbing for those with your messy hands. So if those are taped up in front of you, that's going to be super easy. And then putting a piece of parchment paper down on your sink or wherever you're working will give you just a little bit of a clean workstation that you can just crumple up and throw away at the end.
And all of those things are brilliant to do for preparation, because when I get to putting the color on, that's really all I want to focus on, is putting the color on. So all of these little things that you can do to begin with are going to be helping you. What I'm doing here is, in your kit, you'll find something that looks a little bit like this. It's called barrier cream. It's actually to put on your skin to stop any stains. Obviously, I'm using a brunette shade. In fact, the shade I'm using, I love. Of course, I love it because I'm using it on my own hair. It's called Verona Brown, and it is a gorgeous mix of tones. So one of the best things about Madison Reed is that what we do is, when we create color, we do what your colorists would do in a salon. Colorists like to mix and put a bit of this and put a bit of that. We do all that in one tube. So what you get is salon quality color, but it's already mixed for you. The idea is that you have something that's tailored for you. Also, you have something that is kind of complex. It works exactly the same way as when you do your makeup. You very rarely use just one shade, right? You put a little bit of dark on, and you put a bit of light on, and then you smudge the two together. That's exactly what's in here. And what that means is that you're going to get a nice complex mix, something that looks kind of expensive, kind of different. And this is where Madison Reed starts to really step away from box color, if you like, or usual at-home color, because you can achieve those salon results by doing that.
And I just want to say, I know we introduced Susan as a colorist, but in the spirit of partnering with She Knows, and in the spirit of women supporting each other, I just have to brag on my friends where bragging is due. Susan is not just a colorist, which is like amazing. She is the colorist who formulated the colors for Madison Reed. So when she talks about them being custom formulated and bespoke and beautiful, she's actually also responsible for that. And I just can't let that go unsaid. I'm sorry, I tried. But yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm extremely proud to be here representing Madison Reed, because obviously it's all my own work. On the ends, I'm going to put this. This is the Color Reviving Gloss, or the perfect pair, that goes with my permanent color. So let's come to that a little bit later. This goes just on the riz. Now, I'm going to show you two ways to apply this. And remember, it's a speed coloring technique. I'm going to show you just how fast it can be. So I've mixed up my color. I'm squidging it on, and that is a technical term. I'm moving it, starting just behind the hairline. And I'm doing that for a reason, because if I start here and I squidge it, it's going to go here.
Yep.
So if I start behind, it's going to go back. So first of all, the great thing about using color is that once the color's on your hair, it helps it stay in the sections. Now, my hair is clean yesterday. I washed it yesterday. Often I'll do that. If I'm going to be coloring my hair, I will wash it the day before.
I love that term. Clean yesterday is so much sexier than one day dirty, which is what I've been saying. Yes, clean yesterday. Let's go with that.
Oh, I don't know, Siobhan.
Yeah.
So you can see what I go, first of all, that's my natural parting that I first of all put the color on, and I'm squidging the color through. Now I'm at an advantage here because my hair is dark and the color at the moment is light. That will not last. As the color oxidizes, as it starts to take, it's going to start going dark again. So I'm making sure that the color is generously but evenly applied. And I'm using my bottle, the tip of the bottle, to part the hair. And I'm almost using it, it's like pages of the book, this is my color story, to cover that gray, because I want to get right down to the roots. When you've got longer hair, it's somewhat easier as long as you section it and get organized. With shorter hair, I often won't bother with sectioning. I've had shorter hair in my life.
Yeah.
And it seems that if you put the sections in, it's often more trouble keeping those clips in than it
Yeah,
is
it's never
putting
going to
colour
stay
on.
where you put it.
Yeah. So by actually just kind of diving in, if your hair's shorter, you'll be way better off.
Now, one thing I want to point out, Susan, really, really quickly. So so I love the pages of a book, right? Where your scalp is kind of the spine of the book and you take these skinny little sections that you can see through. With Susan's hair, she's covering gray, right? So with gray coverage, this is a big deal. It is imperative to take those small sections and really work that color on nice and thick. And the consistency, and Teresa, I can see you are actually killing it, like you've been doing this forever. Good job. Yay. You're like a perfect rule follower. So when you are putting the color on, especially if you're doing this with gray coverage, the visual cue we give is think of it like icing on a cake or like Greek yogurt. You really want it on thick like body butter, not thin like lotion, right? So you want to be able to really see it, especially if you've got grays and they're a different texture than the rest of your hair. And you know, those guys like to stand up, they're like squiggly and they stand up. You almost have to like physically weigh them down with color, like,
Oh, yes.
those grays with attitude, like really kind of show them who's boss.
Yes, absolutely. Now, on this side, I'm going to show you how I would work with a bowl and brush. Now, obviously for me, this is kind of like second nature because as a colorist, I use a bowl and brush, lots and lots and lots. But in actual fact, when I color my hair at home, I prefer a bottle just because I find it faster. And you can probably see that here. This is super handy though, if you are a bit of a serial colorist. If you like to color your hair on a very regular basis, you can see that this application here is a lot more accurate. And when you're coloring your hair a lot, if you have a smaller regrowth, then that's important because we want to try not to overlap onto the existing color. So when you're using a bowl and brush, this is one tip that I always use. What most people do is they dip their brush in and they pull it out and it looks like that. So if you put that on your hair, big mess. So what you do is you clean it off on the side of the bowl. Very handy to have the side of the bowl. And you see this little amount of color there, you can actually pick that up and you get a very nice, neat little line. And that nice, neat little line can then become your nice, neat application.
Yeah. And it's, and some women have just said it's kind of fun to do this. Like it really does feel like you're painting something. It's kind of artsy craftsy to have a bowl and brush, and it's very, very cathartic and relaxing. Like to just go section by section with this bowl and brush is like a little detailed art project.
Yes, and I think, for most of us, if you wear makeup, you're used to that kind of brush work, aren't you? You're used to even doing something that's fairly precision, like when you do eye makeup or, if you're brave enough to do lashes, something like that. You're really quite used to using a bowl and brush or a makeup and a little brush to work with those things. Like think about your liquid liner that's constantly coming back into fashion because it's so damn effective. So I think for most of us, we quite like the fact that we can kind of really be masters of our own destiny in this way. And of course, makes you feel like a professional colorist. I'm feeling very professional here. What's great about this is that you can actually target where you want it.
Yeah. Now I want to have a quick convo about the hairs and the hairline, especially if you are coloring for gray coverage, which some of us do, some of us don't, but if you are coloring for gray coverage, going back like you see Susan doing and hitting that hairline area again is very important. Just going back through, layering it on, slapping it on, making sure that that's fully saturated. So we had a little learning in the hair color world about, and this was very interesting, about the same time that we start coloring gray hair, we start using anti-aging products on our face as well. And over the years, those anti-aging face products that have ceramides and all this great like rebuilding hyaluronic acid get pushed into the hairline, whether we mean it to or not. And before you know it, all those baby gray hairs that used to cover okay are now resistant and out of control because they have been treated with the same thing that our skin is getting treated with. And especially if you have any amount of barrier cream on there getting pushed into your hair, you can block that gray hair from getting covered. So be mindful, be neat around the hairline, and use really good saturation for those grays. Susan, before you get to the back, real quick, I want us to watch the back kind of carefully, but just a quick reminder, if you have any questions about application, color matching, color choices, quick reminder for those of you who joined in, how to jump in the queue to ask a question is to hit the reactions button at the bottom of your Zoom screen and then go to raise hand. And then for our folks over on Facebook Live, we've got moderators on Facebook Live answering questions over there too. So that's how you get in line for a question here on Zoom. Okay, Susan, it's all you.
So I've got plenty of hair. Remember, I don't want to get the color on the ends. I'm doing pretty well time-wise. My speed coloring is going quite nicely. What I'm going to do is turn to the back, and I'm going to turn right the way around. Now, here's the deal. I'm used to standing over people and coloring their hair. I'm not going to do that on myself. I can't. So I'm going to do it by feel. And that's the secret to success here. So here we are. I have parted my hair at the back. So I took a straight down parting. I've got my brush. And what I'm going to do is just apply to that straight down parting. So I hope I'm doing a good job. You can give me feedback, Siobhan, if I'm not.
It looks lovely so far.
So what I've done, hopefully, is I've split into two sections.
Yeah.
I've now got the choice of either using bowl and brush, which I can do, and I can show you that. Remembering to use my clean off the brush technique, I am going in and I can take a section, and remember this is just by feel, and then apply to the scalp that way.
Oh, that is so good. When you put your chin up a little bit, like, yes, okay, we can see really well like that. Perfect.
Okay. So clean brush.
Yep.
Here we go. I can feel it, and I can feel it with, and what you feel actually when you're doing that is it kind of feels cold on your scalp. And that's how you know that you're getting into those roots there. Now, the way I feel about this is, you know, if I miss a bit, that's okay. Because there aren't many people going back and checking my color application, I have to say.
Right,
but,
in the middle of the back of your head, probably not as much, yeah.
But there are bits, and you'll see them in a little bit, that are actually pretty important to me. And those bits are quite commonly with most people behind my ear here. Now, I don't know if you can see there, but I've got a little crop of grey back there. So I'm going to be very sure, and again, I'm going to feel and then follow with my brush, that I get those nicely covered. So as covered as I can get them, I want them to be almost as if I'm going at the front hairline. So section, hold the section, go in with the brush, and
then at the end, another thing too is when you, and you'll see Susan do this, when you have all your horizontal sections back there applied with round one of getting the color on, when you take your hand, your gloved hand, go up through the back of the head and do like a little scalp massage, that will run all the color through and you'll make sure you don't get any missed spots or dry spots. That will super help with that as well. Susan, do you mind if I pop over to a question? We have a couple waiting.
Perfect, go for it.
While you move on to your last section. Okay, great. So I am going to pop over to Amber. Amber, I see your hand up and I'm going to ask to unmute you here. Give me 1 second. Ask to unmute. Hey, Amber.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, I just wanted to know if you don't, I don't have a lot of gray. I just have like maybe 1 or 2 here.
Yeah.
1 or 2 here. What do they just give you, like a 20 volume or a 10 volume, or what do they give you? How do they determine that?
Yeah, really, really good question. So it comes with 20 volume for the new growth color. And as a little pro tip, if you want to, because it sounds like you kind of know a little bit about color, or you have a little bit of like prior knowledge, you didn't want the color to, I mean, 20 volume is usually fine for new growth anyway, but you could always mix it, set it in your bowl, or leave it in the bottle for about 5-10 minutes, the longer color sits, it'll drop in oxidation. So if you wanted that 20 volume to
Oh,
become a 10
okay.
volume, just let it sit there for a minute and tire itself out a little bit and then apply. That's kind of a little
Okay.
insider hack that we do.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, Susan,
Great
are you getting along okay without us? Can I take another question?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, perfect. Okay, Patronilla, am I saying that correctly? If so, let me pop over to you and see if I can unmute you. Okay.
Yes, you did say that perfectly. So bravo to you. First try. That was great. So I have been an at-home colorer for some time now. I used to exclusively get colored at Aveda, but now I have been using some of the Schwarzkopf colors, which are really pretty good for brunettes. But I have noticed that they're kind of a little monochromatic, and the only way that I have sort of highlights is because my grays then provide highlight for me. So I think my question is, if I'm going to switch to a Madison Reed, like, how do I handle getting the color that I want, given that I'm fully colored throughout, even though like I'm super dark. My roots are super dark anyway, and my grays are not, it's not like a whole bunch of gray. So I don't really care about that so much, but I am interested in like the full richness of the colors that Madison Reed sort of promises, but I need to know like how to get a good result.
Okay. So I love this question, and I would love to help color match you. If you want to do, I'm going to kind of answer 50% here, and then I would love to invite you to email me to get really nitty gritty about the exact color match for you. But the first thing that I would say to do, and this is just a great tip for anyone listening in, if you've been coloring with something else and you want to come over to Madison Reed, the tones are very multitonal and soft and dimensional. To get the most out of that, I highly recommend you first purchase a product that we sell called Prime for Perfection. And what Prime for Perfection does is it helps to remove any previous color buildup, but it's hyaluronic acid based. It's very good for your hair. It's very soft. It's like a deep cleansing facial. It's not like a bleach or anything that's going to make you spotty. It will just help take off sort of the last layer of wallpaper. And that then we can get you color matched with the proper root color. And then rather than pulling that through, I would recommend a gloss for you, like what Susan's going to do, because then it'll stay dimensional and we won't be removing and then just going right over it with more permanent color and over darkening. Because it sounds like as your hair grows out and fades out and all of that, you're getting some dimensional highlights from the scattering of a little bit of gray and then just natural, hair fading out. So I think we should take advantage of that. So I would, do the Prime for Perfection to get yourself the clean canvas, and then let's match you to the perfect roots and gloss. But that Prime can make a big difference. I think you'll be super impressed with it.
Okay. And just super quickly as a follow-up, Aveda had like what they called a color cleanse, which I never did because it felt to me like it was going to be a little bit too harsh, and I didn't want to strip a whole bunch of stuff out and then risk having damage. So just the question is like how severe, and that's a strong word, is your perfecting thing?
Okay, can I answer that, Siobhan? Because this is my absolutely all-time favorite product, and I'll tell you why. Always when colorists or consumers for that matter want to remove color from their hair, they automatically think that we need to use bleach. This is not a bleach. Prime for Perfection is actually, as Siobhan said, it's a fruit acid base. It's actually a really different type of product. And what it does is, rather than destroying the artificial pigments that are in your hair from coloring your hair, and that's what bleach does, it reverses the oxidation process. So permanent color is an oxidizing color. You can see that the color on my hairline has changed from white to this brown. And what that means is that it's working. There's an oxidation process going on. It's very technical. I'm not going to get into it, thank goodness. But what that product does, the Prime for Perfection, is it reverses that process. So when you're going forward and oxidizing and making darker, what that does is it actually uses a chemical process called reduction. There you are. And it removes the color that way. Super gentle. It's like an exfoliating for your hair, basically. It is not harsh. And because of the pH, which if you know anything about pH, anyone out there, the worst thing you can do for your hair is put alkaline. This is acidic, which is what your hair is naturally, and that's what it likes. So Prime for Perfection is a really super easy product to use. It doesn't take a lot of time, and you do not have to worry. In fact, you can use it 2, 3, 4 times, and the condition's great.
In one sitting, you can do that if you
in
want.
one sitting, repeatedly. So it's something that is, in fact, pretty revolutionary in the hair coloring market. And I have to say, well, I'm pretty proud of that, aren't you, Siobhan? So don't worry about using Prime for Perfection. You do not need to worry about it.
Don't worry about it at all. And it couldn't, I mean, it literally comes right out of the tube. You put it on roots to ends. It's 20 minutes. You shampoo it out, and you will feel that your hair actually feels silky as it's rinsing out of your hair. So you'll love it, especially because it sounds like you're pretty mindful about your hair health. You'll love it. Yeah.
It's a great place to start. So don't worry.
Okay, so we have another hand raised, but I want to turn it back over to you to run us through how to apply gloss when we've got roots on.
Okay, so super quick power coloring. I'm a superhuman fast colorist tonight. I've gone through, I've done all my roots. I used the applicator flask. I used the bowl and brush, clean brush on some of it. And now I've got the roots covered. I went back, I did what we call cross check. So we take sections. When you saw me do it, I was working back from the hairline. Cross checking means you go up parallel to the hairline. And what that means is if there's any bits that show light, because you can see it's going pretty dark now, I can see them and I go in and zap them. And what I've also done is, because, you know, I hate my grays, I'm just going to say that. I've gone back over and covered those grey hairs. Bit of a mess, not going to lie, but that can be remedied afterwards. Next stage is part of the perfect pair. So I'm going to be using Color Reviving Gloss. It's Amaretto. I love this shade. And the reason why I love it is because it's a beautiful bronze color. Now you can see I've got these light highlights from my Lightworks Balayage kit. What I'm going to do is literally, and there's the texture of this, you can see if it's coming out properly, which it is. The texture of this is almost like a kind of a runny honey. It's like a syrupy type texture. See, there we go. I'll show you there. So it actually wets the hair as you apply it. And the only thing you can do wrong with this, 2 things, not put it on evenly and not put enough on. So I'm going to work it through all of the lengths and ends. I'm going to be a bit careful. I want to put it up to here, but I don't want to put it on top of here. So I'm going to take it up, but not over that line. And you can see what's happening is my hair's pretty porous. It's bleached. I don't usually use that word. I like lightener better, but it's bleached. So when hair is bleached, it absorbs color extremely well. And that's exactly what's happening here. So I'm going to be using a fair bit of this so I can make sure that I get plenty on. The color itself is very kind of bronze. So because I've got these kind of light goldy ends, what I'm going to end up with is something that looks very rich, which I personally love. And I find it's really a great way to put lots of shine on the hair. So I'm going to be getting on with this, Siobhan.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, so let's talk really, really quickly about timing. So when do you set the timer? How long is this whole thing supposed to take you?
Fantastic question.
She's a professional, right? She zipped right through this. Do not stress. Do not stress. If it's taking you 30 minutes to get those roots on, who cares? It's fine.
Yeah.
Hair color is whatever level it is, and it's not going to over darken by sitting on there. It will slow down and stop working before that happens. It is okay if you're not Susan fast. So you get your roots on, you take your time. When they are on, when they are completely on, that is when you set your timer. Okay, for 35 minutes if you've got a little bit of gray, 45 minutes if you've got heavy duty gray or hard to cover gray. Now, what Susan's doing with the gloss you put your roots on, you set your timer, and then you go and put your gloss on, because gloss doesn't need as long as the roots. So by the time she gets her gloss on, her clock will already be ticking down, and then she'll have some processing time to hang out and do whatever she's going to do, which we're going to hear about in a little bit. Now, she's taking larger sections. This is not as scientific.
No.
I want to give you just a couple key things to know about gloss and why we love it. So first of all, it's a semi-permanent. It doesn't work with a developer, so it coats the outside of the hair. Like Susan said, think about the relationship between your permanent color and your gloss the same way that you would lipstick, lip gloss, opaque, tinted, see-through almost, right? So that's the relationship. It's going to respect the variation, add a little tone, add a lot of shine, zero damage. It doesn't get into the cortex of the hair. This is a non-damaging. You could use this, I mean, it comes out in 6 to 8 shampoos. It doesn't grow out. It's not going to give you an additional root line. It's also a really cool way to kind of flirt with a different shade.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Susan, she's using amaretto, which is like the liqueur, like a brown-based red, mahogany red. But she's used our truest red, Barolo. She's used copper. It's a nice way to try something else on without full commitment, and it's going to gradually fade out of your hair.
Yes.
So,
and I would say this is the most fun you can have in your own bathroom.
yeah.
If you're a brunette, because you really can. If you don't like the red, you can get rid of the red. We have a fabulous shade called espresso, which does exactly that. If you want more gold, we have miele, which means honey, and it looks like the color of runny honey. It's gorgeous. On brunette hair, that's amazing. And then obviously you've got your coppery shades, which amaretto is more kind of bronzy. I love those mix of tones. And then Barolo is a bright red copper. And then Canela is a gorgeous, deep, really kind of iced tea in the sun, coppery shade. I love that.
And it's one of those things too, where like when you're a brunette, you have these glosses aren't going to lighten you. You're not going to go from a brunette to a redhead. But if you're a brunette and you put on a red gloss, it will just give you that, like in the sun, you'll just catch hints of that redness or hints of that amaretto mahogany. And it's so beautiful and complex. And yeah, it's just a nice, low commitment, low maintenance way to have some fun with your hair.
And the best thing is the shine. Just going to say.
So shiny. It's so shiny.
So shiny.
Okay, so
nearly there. So you can go and do what you need to do, Siobhan, and leave me to do it.
Okay, perfect. So you're going to wrap up with your gloss, do your cap, and we are going to say hello to our friend, Erika Janes, who is deputy editor over at She Knows. And Erika, you are actually a real life Madison Reed color enthusiast, right?
I am. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here because I am genuinely a Madison Reed customer. I've been a customer for about 2 years now. And I started using Madison Reed because I was really looking for kind of a better and more gentle hair coloring experience. When I was going to a salon before, I didn't like the way it smelled. It frequently made my hair kind of just like my scalp sort of itchy and burn a little bit. I didn't always love the color I got. So I had seen Madison Reed ads before, and I went to a color bar in New York City. It was convenient to where I work. And I left the salon. I just felt like I had this beautiful, shiny color. I was really happy with it. And then I got this email that listed every product my colorist had used, including the actual color she had put on my hair, which I thought was fantastic. It just made it very easy in case I wanted to do anything at home. And in that moment, I didn't want to, but fast forward to the pandemic, and all of a sudden I'm way behind on my hair appointment. Everything is shut down. I went back and found that email and was just like, oh, great, I'm shade 5A Torino Brown. I know exactly what to order. I got the kit, got the bowl, got the brush, the comb, everything. It arrived. I started getting the subscription. So every 8 weeks, it just comes to me. I don't have to think about it. I get this nice little box that has all my color in it. I have my espresso gloss. so yeah, I started, like so many people, just started coloring my hair at home then. And I found that it was really easy. I had never actually colored my hair at home before, but it didn't smell.
Yeah.
It didn't make my scalp itch. The color was beautiful, and I knew what to expect because I had had it done before, and I knew exactly what to order. So there was no guesswork. I just did it 2 days ago in my home. Like, I had my color,
And it
got my
looks
gloss.
stunning and pretty.
Thank you. So, you know, for me, as much as I like sometimes going into the salon and getting it done, and that's kind of
Yeah.
as a busy working mom, it's really nice to have this waiting for me at home, to have it arrive every 8 weeks, and to just be able to do it whenever it's convenient for me, whether that's at night after my kids go to bed, or to just be like, everyone, I'm locking the bathroom door for the next 40 minutes. Don't bother me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's, I think you are like just the perfect Madison Reed, like model citizen, because that's the beauty of this color company, is that it's kind of, it's beauty on your own terms. If you want to color your hair at home and lock yourself in the bathroom and multitask, do whatever, great. We love that. If that's not your jam this particular evening and you want to go to one of our hair color bars and have it applied, we love that too. It's whatever works for you on your schedule. And that's so different. Like, I'm sure you've never gotten your hair colored professionally and then gotten an email saying, here's exactly what was used.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
So, okay.
That honestly kind of blew my socks off. I was just like, wow, like they just gave me everything I need to do it at home.
Oh, yeah. That's what we love to hear. That's what we love to hear. That's like the most amazing client testimonial ever. So, Erika, so when you are at home, the one benefit of, you know, doing your own hair color at home is that you can multitask, you can do whatever you want in your downtime. You've got 30 minutes. So, share with us what you are going to be doing with your color processing next time.
All right. So one thing that I like to do, I think as many of us have started coloring our hair during the pandemic, we've started doing some other self-care things at home that we might not have always done at home ourselves. For me, that's definitely kind of been doing nails. I don't always love to have color on my fingernails, and that's not necessarily something that you would want to do while you are coloring your hair, because then you have to rinse it out. You don't want wet nails, but I think giving yourself a pedicure actually is a really great way to sort of do beauty head to toe in one day. And I think, you know, when you're letting the color process, you can soak your feet. You can take one of these handy tools and start scrubbing your calluses off. For my feet, that might take me the entire time my color's processing. You know, you can push your cuticles back. You can do a really nice, like, moisturizing foot rub. Just really kind of give yourself a little bit of pampering.
Yeah.
Literally put your feet up, relax for a little bit. Then once you get out of the shower, that's when I think it's a nice time to put some color on. You want to make sure that all of the oils or lotions from anything you used before your shower or during your shower is taken off. You can use some nail polish remover to just, even if you don't have color on already, to clean all that off a little bit. Then use, you know, your base coat. And one thing that I think is fun for spring, to talk about some color trends, is that pastels are huge right now.
Yeah.
They're huge in fashion, they're huge in nails. So it's really time to sort of take advantage of some colors that you might not wear any other time of the year. I have a few examples of things that I like. There's like this really sort of pastel lavender. You can do a plain sort of.
Yeah, these pastels are reminding me so much of my youth.
You know, and these colors, what's fun right now is that there's a real nostalgia factor to them. So if you think about sort of the like the butterfly clips that people were wearing in the 90s and the 2000s, think of those colors, those just sort of bright, shimmery pastel colors. You know, maybe a few years ago, you wouldn't have necessarily gravitated toward pearly lavender nails, but this is the time to do that. If you are somebody who likes a red, I definitely like red on my toes, not on my fingernails. I recommend something like this that's a little bit more of kind of a geranium, a poppy, a very like corally orangey red, rather than a real scarlet, because that just feels a little bit more like fall to me anyways. But one thing I think, no matter what, gravitate to a color that just makes you happy and that you like. So just as you're putting gloss on your hair, you're going to walk by the mirror and feel happy about your hair, how your hair looks.
Yeah.
You know, you just want to make sure that when you look at your feet, that makes you happy too. So if you like navy blue toenails, go for it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That makes me so happy because I mean, I feel like we're always so like, what's on trend right now? Or what color looks good for my face shape? Or what cut looks good for my, right? There's all these rules we put into place, and sometimes they're useful, but most of the time it's when you walk by a mirror, whatever makes you turn your head and smile, that's on trend, right? Like that's your color, that's your cut, that's what you need to be doing. So I love that little bit at the end, like take inspiration from fashion and be on trend and know what's going on in the world, but then like you do you at the end of the day, right? Like whatever makes you smile.
You can find like any shade of nail polish pretty much any time of the year, I think.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
see ones that are, and I think those are really fun to sort of look at, see what's new right now. That's where I got some of these colors that I just showed on the screen, but you can find anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you. And thank you for reminding us too that when our color is processing at home and there's 30 minutes, it doesn't just have to be to check your emails and get on Slack and right, like work on a project. You can actually take that 30 minutes and be like, no, 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 it's not just a hair appointment. It's a self spa appointment, right?
Time
So
for yourself.
good reminder.
Door.
Thanks, Erika.
Thank you.
Susan, now you are looking gorgeous and glamorous as always.
I think so. I just want to, because I think we may have a question. I think Laura's maybe been patiently waiting. Have you, darling? But so what I wanted to say was that I have a cleansing wipe. I tore it open earlier and I went around my hairline with this cleansing wipe. I also managed to get the color off my arms because I got some on there and around here and over the ears. So now this is a really cool thing to do. It doesn't look that cool, but the reason why it's cool is because it traps the heat in from the scalp. So in my scenario, I want to cover my grays. I don't put it right on the hairline. We have enough heat here that that's going to happen anyway. And I don't want to mess things up because if I get stains here, that's going to be worse than not having grays. So I'm good with that. Put your cap on, take it slightly back from the hairline, make sure that it encloses everything. Under here, I've got obviously my perfect pair, my root color, which covers the grays, and then my color reviving gloss amaretto, which colors the ends. And I'm going to get a fabulous shine and obviously a beautiful color that goes from dark to lighter and warmer and just something that's really beautiful. Yay.
I love it.
Not right.
You just made that sound so good. Like I knew what you were doing and you still sold it to me like it was new. I was like, I want that.
Well, that's why gloss is so fun, because you can ring the changes.
And by the way, we are obviously, you know, we're not all, I would love to hang out with you guys for all 45 minutes, but, you know, clearly you're not going to see her after right now. But if you've attended, then we've got your email. And then when the email goes out, it's going to have the after photos attached to it. So you will see the big payoff here with Susan's transformation. I promise you won't be left out in the cold. Okay. So Susan, you look like you are good to go. Can we pop up to Laura?
We can, Laura.
Okay.
You were so patient, my darling. What's your question?
You are so patient. I'm going to ask to unmute you. Give that 1 second. Hey, Laura.
Oh, here we go. Am I unmuted?
Yeah, you can hear you. Hi.
Anyways, no, I haven't been patient, but I've been learning so much about hair color.
That's okay. We'll take you patient or otherwise.
But I have a couple questions, and one of them is, if my hair is very dark, it's probably the color of Susan's, naturally, and I want to go lighter. What do you recommend I do so I don't get orange?
Okay.
Oh,
You have opened up a can of worms, Laura. Okay.
I know.
Yeah, this is really, colorists love to talk about this. And here's the thing. Okay. How much lighter are you hoping to go in a perfect world? A little.
I'm almost black. They told me once in a salon I was 2 shades above black.
And
I want to go to maybe a dark blonde.
okay, I'm going to give you the best advice I've ever given anyone. I think you should go to a
Yay.
salon. You should absolutely go to a salon and have a professional do this. There is not a way, and we're a really good color company. There's not a way to go that much lighter and not see orange. And the reason for that is that, unfortunately, and the bane of our existence as colorists, and I know Susan can attest to this, is orange and red are the underlying pigment that live under all human hair. So there's no way to lighten it and not come up with orange. There's a way to mitigate it a little. If you go up a level, 2 levels, maybe you could use something really ash tone to do that, and that will help. But what you're talking about is some transformation, and I'm so behind it. I love it. I love a big, good change. But in order for you to be as happy as possible, I highly recommend you do that through getting pretty highlighted with some lows. Get highlighting your way to a dark blonde, because professional lighteners can lift you past that orange stage. If you do it from a hair color kit, even ours, which I love and Susan loves, there's no way to do that and not come up orange. And I just don't want to put you in that pain, because it is pretty painful. Susan,
It is. Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Susan, do you have anything you want to add to that?
You know, it's one of those things that who doesn't want to go lighter? We all do. It's so pretty, especially this time of year. But as you say, dealing with those underlying pigments can be really problematic. I love a mixture of all over slightly lighter color with lighter pieces in it. And I think that that's the best way to go. But I do really think that you have to, at some stage, accept some of the warmth, embrace it, because otherwise you're fighting really a losing battle. And I think excellent advice, Siobhan. You know, a professional can set you on that road. Even a color bar can set you on that road, because, you know, different things like application will help lighten. You can also do, obviously, light works, and that will help. So, and you know what? The good thing is, Laura, that when you go gray, you're going to be in a good spot, because that means you won't get any orange.
That is true. That is true. That's the perk of gray. It doesn't contain any orange. Okay, we have time for one more question. Then we're going to announce our giveaway winner, which has just been sent over to me. So I'm about to make someone's day. But before I do that, let's hear from Melinda. I'm going to ask to unmute you.
Hi, I'm unmuted. First of all, I so appreciate the fact that you were like, go to a salon. Like, this isn't going to be the end all be all for everybody. And that makes me feel like I can trust you so much more. So I super appreciate that. But here's my question, and it's a little bit out of time, but when Susan started, she said she didn't wash her hair. So my question is it better to do your own? And I'm just learning how to get into this, because I'm like a blonde who's obviously a brunette, obviously. But I want to know how to do this, because it's entirely like not in my budget anymore to go to the salon. Is it the right thing to do to not wash your hair before? This has been a question of mine forever. So I would love to get some feedback on that.
Oh, can I answer that?
Okay, yes. I know you're dying to. Okay.
So yes, it's the right thing to do is not wash your hair directly before you put color. And here's why. There's actually a few reasons. Firstly, it's much easier to work on hair that is not clean. So if you're going to get your hair done, you're lucky enough to have a professional appointment, hairdressers much prefer your hair to be 1 day clean. So in other words, wash it the day before and then go. If you wash it 2 days before and go, they'll actually won't mind that at all. Most hairdressers are totally unshockable, especially if they're colorists, just saying. So a little bit of what you think is dirt is actually good for them, because it's much easier. Secondly, if you're having any form of color that goes on your scalp, which is obviously what you saw me do today, if you have a little bit of dirt and a little bit of natural secretions, we can call it grease if you like, then what that's going to do is it's going to actually protect your scalp somewhat from whatever you're going to put on it. Now, in a professional salon, what you'll find is that the products, generally speaking, will be harsher than anything that we will use at home. So that can really help you, especially if you're someone that kind of is a bit sensitive. With Madison Reed, you don't have to worry about that so much, but we always recommend that you don't put the product on clean hair for that reason, because if you are a little bit sensitive, it can make you sensitive. You don't tend to have that at all with what we have because we make things that way, but we want to be safe, and that's really why. The other thing is that if your hair is super clean and you put color on it, it tends to grab onto the color on your head, and then it's difficult to get off. And those telltale signs are not really what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is so helpful. I can't even tell you, like, that's always been the question. And as I'm entering into being a person who colors at home, I appreciate that so much. So I really thank you.
I love that. Those were good questions. We got some good ones tonight. Okay. So we unfortunately have to wrap this at some point, and that point is now. We do have a winner to announce. So Jane Brannick, if you are, and gosh, I hope I'm saying your last name right too. If you are on this call, please, at the end of this, when you see that email address, shoot me an email, say, hey, I'm the winner, color match me, and I'm going to send you everything you need to do roots and gloss and just make your whole life better. So email me when you see that. And for everyone else, that is a wrap for us. We are going to see you all back here May 12th. We're going to be doing some at-home balayage highlights with Stylecaster. So it was a pleasure to hang out with you tonight. I hope this was helpful. I hope you had a great time, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.